C'est quelque chose pour se connecter, non? Moi, je suis sur mon propre.
Okay, let's see. Can people hear me? That's the real question. Is it? How we doing, my friends? Everybody in the chat, just let me know. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Chat. Good afternoon, everybody. Let's see. Good afternoon from India. Wow, what a small world. Okay, we got some people. Can you hear us? Yes, they can hear us. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is it very loud? Can you hear the background noise, or does it sound like I'm in a room, just me with you? it is loud, or you can hear me very well. We're using AI noise canceling, and as with all things AI, you need to check its work a couple of times before you trust it. So can everybody hear me? All right, good. All right, good stuff. Hi, everybody. So you want to join? Okay, let me see. I'm going to add you both. Here you go. Stage. Hey, everybody. I'm joined by my friends Laurent and Yacine. Did I mispronounce that?
Perfect.
Okay. We're at DevOps. How are you enjoying the show?
Yeah, sure. It's a great day.
Great day, right? You're muted over there, right?
Okay.
Or I mean, actually, no. It probably doesn't matter as long as I don't hear it on this side. I bet I can just do that. There you go. So you don't have to mute yourself now. Okay. I think they can still hear me. And
You can hear me as well.
but if you have your microphone and they don't have the AI noise canceling,
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe whatever. As long as they can, as long as it's fine.
Good for your voice.
Yeah.
Sounds to be good.
Okay.
Okay.
There's echoes. Yeah. Go ahead and mute yours. There you go. There we go. So say something, both of you.
Hi there.
Hi
Can you hear
there.
me?
Hello.
Okay.
That's something to be great.
Okay. Here's hoping that they can hear us.
Yeah.
We got rid of the two other machines that were making sound. Is it everything? It's better when Laurent is muted, and you can still hear Laurent. Say something, Laurent.
Yeah. Hello.
Test,
Bertrand,
test.
can you hear me?
Okay.
There's echo.
Echo.
That's what Martin has written.
J'ai pour entendre les échos.
Perfect now. He said.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, good.
In the time, yeah.
All right, my friends. Good stuff. So we're at DevOps Belgium, one of the best shows in the planet, right? Obviously. It is I don't know, is it the biggest Java show now? I think that maybe DevOps France has gotten a little bit bigger, but still one of the best shows. And one of the nice things about DevOps is you can just sit down and meet interesting people. So I bumped into my friend Sebastian Blanc, who is the best and old friend. And so we were talking, and then he and I were just standing there, and then some other people bumped into him, and I made some new friends. So it's nice to meet you both. And you were showing me something really cool. If you're building APIs, you're going to care about today's discussion, which is basically how to mock and how to test your APIs given some sort of contract. And obviously, you've heard me talk at length, I'm sure, about things like Spring Cloud Contract and the like. And so this is a different approach. And also kind of interesting. And I just like that it works well with Spring. So I just wanted to talk about it today. And I appreciate you both taking the time to show us what's what. What's the motivation? Like, why build this instead of just sleeping in that day? Like, why? Like, you had a choice between some coffee and a nice sit in the cafe, and some nice air and stuff, and a baguette or whatever. You could have done that,
Yeah.
but instead you built this. What's the?
Oh, that's a good question. In fact, it started as a side project. It was 6 or 7 years ago, and at that time I started playing with a lot of different kinds of APIs. So obviously REST was already strong, but started playing with GraphQL. Also did some tests with gRPC, and I realized that those different kinds of APIs were there to stay, to coexist, and so I was looking for a tool to have let's say, a uniform approach for mocking and testing them. I found nothing. So that was the starting point, and I decided to start Microcks at that time.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so this was an open source project. What's the license, by the by?
Yeah, this is an Apache 2 licensed open
Apache
source
2.
project. Yeah,
Okay.
Apache 2. So fully open source since 6 years, and now we are fully with Yacine. We are fully dedicated to the project. We are working full time on the project since 6 months now, and we just joined the CNCF this summer. So we are now the CNCF sandbox project.
Cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
That's a big deal because that's hard to,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work.
Well, felicitations, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
really great. And it's also it's a rare win, I think, because you don't see a lot of Java projects at the CNCF.
Mhm.
So well done, huh? Good job.
Not
Yeah.
a lot of developer tool as well.
Yeah, a lot of infrastructure, but not
Yeah.
so. This is a big deal, right? I'm excited about this. And it has the key ingredients, which is it works well with Spring and test containers, which I love, both of which I love. So I'm just keen on showing and seeing it and all that stuff. The other thing you told me is it's sort of driven by contracts of all different shapes and sizes. So it's very sort of flexible in that
Yeah.
regard.
Yeah, exactly. What we absolutely want to do when we start in Microcks is not to invent another way of doing specification. So the mantra is to reuse all the things we could already have in the organization. So
Right.
it could be OpenAPI, Swagger files, it could be gRPC protobuf definitions, it could be GraphQL schema, and it could be also Postman collections.
Yeah.
So whatever you already have, you can fill Microcks with these existing artifacts, and it will provide, yes, smart simulations and contract tests for you.
That's so cool. Okay, and it is really smart. Like is there AI? Is there, just say the magic words, there's AI.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So for
Easy funding granted, you know?
We have it inside already.
yeah,
Yes.
inside already. So we have it at two different layers. So the first one is when we ingest a new contract. So we are trying, yes, to guess the most smartest routing rules, so that when you ask for, let's say, a specific request, you have let's say, an adapted response to your needs. And we also have AI now on the phase where it comes to generate samples, because on Microcks, we rely on the different request response samples you may find on the different assets, but you can also use AI to help you generate new samples for you to enrich your data sets of samples. If you're a lazy one and do not want to describe anything, you can just ask OpenAI to give you new sample for enriching your data sets.
That is dynamite. Okay, that's cool. Okay, I guess we've enough suspense. I think we just kind of need to see it in action. So do you want to first of all close all the sensitive emails
Yeah.
that you've got, all Slack instances, anything with your note, all that stuff? You should just disable that now before you go live on the internet. Do you have your notifications muted?
Yes, everything is muted. So
You
that's
closed Slack and FaceTime and all the stuff, right? I just remember you don't want people seeing stuff and it's live, so there's no way to undo it, right?
yes.
Um,
Everything is closed.
I have no shame, so it's never really
Notifications are
bothered me.
muted, so that's okay for me.
Okay.
I can present my screen.
Okay, so yeah, you just add your screen.
Yeah, share my screen.
Yeah.
Share screen and the whole screen.
Open source all of your data. Okay, everything is now
It's fully open
wide.
rest. So
But I mean, now his inbox and everything is, we've open sourced the pixels of his laptop screen, so be
Okay,
very careful.
so my screen is shared. I don't know if you can see my
Oh,
screen.
I have to add it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So you have to add it, Josh. Yeah.
I'm new at this streaming thing. Okay, go
Yeah.
team.
Go ahead. So just to give you, yes, so this is purely open source. This is microcks.io. So give it a check and you will see this little schema. It's a bit ugly right now, but yeah, you can see you can fill Microcks with everything you already have in your organization and
Right.
try to, yes, to try smart mocks and contract tests for you. So just let me show you what we have in for developers. So we just play with a small demonstration right here. So a small application that is a Spring Boot one. So we are focused on this order service application right here. And this order service application relies on a third-party application, an external one, that gives you availabilities for pastries. For example, we are pastry shop.
Right.
Say.
Okay.
Okay. And
So you did that. So that morning when you could have gone to the cafe and gotten a pastry and a
exactly.
coffee, but instead you chose to build this, you still wanted the pastry. I can tell. It's in your demo now.
Exactly. So I'm a food lover. So, and
Yeah.
I like French pastry. So
Yeah.
right. So we rely on a third-party pastry API, and we want to simulate it because it's provided by a third party. It costs each and every time we ask pastry. So we want to mock this to be able to
Wait.
develop and to test in isolation.
Okay, just is there actually an API I can use to order pastries somewhere? For real? Do you know?
I don't know.
good question.
Good question.
Like cafe.io or something? Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe it's
Anyway,
worth,
or patisserie.io. That's what we should do. Okay, never mind.
okay.
Carry
Never
on.
mind. And so this order pastry rely on the third pastry, but we also have to provide a new API for our partners, for the online stores, for the ecosystem, so that they place new orders for ordering pastries. Okay.
Mhm.
And each and every time we are placing order, we have to check availability of this pastry to reserve it.
Yes.
Okay. So typically, the first thing we want to do is to be able to write a pastry API client using Spring and to write a test to actually check that our client is correct. And if we mock this external pastry API, that everything is okay. Okay, let's start with that. Is the mocking part. So we are writing a pastry API client. This is using the REST template stuff.
Our old friend.
Old friend, exactly. And the thing that is important is that we rely on a value that is injected, that is the base URL. So this is the base URL of this third-party API. Okay, and here you can see basic method, getting a pastry, listing pastries regarding their size and so on. Okay,
Yeah.
so very, very easy. And we have retrieved this Open API contract for this third-party API, and we have it at hand. It is just right here. Let me check. It should be in the resources. Yes, here. Maybe it's a bit small, but you can see resources, third parties. I've got this API pastries Open API contract right here.
Right.
Okay. So now just let me write a JUnit test, okay, for my pastry API client. And what I'm going to do in this JUnit test is to use a Microcks container. So we rely on the test container integration. And at the beginning of our test, we are just going to pop up a new Microcks container, okay, so that Microcks can simulate our API for us.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is your specialization of the test containers API.
Exactly.
I love test containers. We love them.
We love them as well.
Yeah.
Yes. And one thing that is important is that during the setup phase here, maybe let me make this a bit bigger. We are going to import into the Microcks container our artifacts. So here we are going to import our Open API file. And we can also add some complementary stuff. So for example, we can add Postman collection. So let's say here we just have basic stuff about the happy pass, about the basic pastries.
Yeah.
And here we've decided to enrich our data set of pastries with new pastries, with croissant, with
I'm
milk.
so hungry.
Exactly. And so this is the setup phase. Now, the thing that is important with a Spring Boot application is to being able to reconfigure our client. And here we are going to ask Microcks for having a mock endpoint. So we just ask Microcks, give me a URL for this third-party API pastries. And my version is 001. Okay. And we are going to reconfigure our client so that our client will use this base URL.
Okay.
And just after that, very easy.
So that's the thing that will get injected into the class, and you're putting it in the environment by using the old dynamic property registry there, and you're getting that from the test container. This is so old test container support from years ago. Works fine.
I'm a very old Spring
it
Boot
works.
developer, so
I love it.
Yeah, old but bad habits, maybe.
Just no, you're doing great. I'm just rehashing so I can follow along.
Okay. And so here I can just test that my client is working as expected. So I can list pastries and checking the size of pastries regarding my data sets to check everything is okay. So here I can just run everything. Okay. It will launch a new JUnit test. Just launch a test container, feeding Microcks with all the artifacts, and that's okay. I've run my test and test my client is well written, is using this third-party API very correctly.
So can we see what it thinks what's the input, what's the HTTP code for that? If I look at the list, if I let the client.list pastries, click on that, and then it's making a request to pastries /size equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever.
Exactly.
And then where's the Open API definition there?
The Open API, let me open it again. So here you can see there is pastries. We got a get. Yes, here with a parameter that is the size. Okay. Size should be in query. Here you can see that my Open API file is embedding some samples for small, medium, and large pastries as well. So this is the data that Microcks is using to infer and create simulation on the fly.
Okay.
Okay.
And then that's the examples. Okay. And then response is
you can see
application JSON, an array type. Okay.
An array type. So here I got one small pastry, 2 medium one, and two large one. Okay, so typically here in my test case, just right here, this is why I am setting the size of the pastry I just retrieved.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But this is a way that is very convenient, very fast to isolate you from the outer world and to test.
Which is a good point. So why would I use? So is the idea that if this were an actual API, the last thing I would want to do is to send requests. Usually they're metered, they cost money. The last thing you want to do is have your CI pipeline bring down your foreign third-party service integration, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And of course, here we just have one third party, but imagine when you are working in a microservice world with a ton of different microservices of different dependencies. Sometimes it's a nightmare to set up everything on your machine. So this is, I think, a very elegant way of solving this issue, having everything.
Right. And all you got to do is
Right.
write your client in such a way that the URL is that it's using is pluggable.
Yeah,
Everything else is exactly the same as it would be otherwise.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And you can do this with the new REST client as well in the Spring
Yeah.
Framework 6.1.
Yeah, typically.
Yeah.
Typically.
Or the web client in the reactive world.
Yes. So here, of course, we are using Microcks typically in a headless way. So we're just using the API. But if you like Microcks to be able to understand what he's doing under the hood and so on, you can also start a Microcks instance and very, very easy. And you can use also have this UI so that you can import your API definitions within Microcks, and you can have a look at how it feels regarding the different endpoints, the different samples, and so on. So let me, for example, show you what it looks like with this this API pastry, this pastry API just right here. Okay, I can install it into my Microcks instance, and here, yes, we have an API pastry. We have the Open API spec.
What do you mean install into your Microcks instance?
So typically we import the Open API definition within Microcks so that it can analyze the definition and publish the different endpoints.
So where is this thing that you're in some sort of cluster right now, right?
Yes, exactly. So you can deploy Microcks in many different ways. So you can have ephemeral instances that are popped out in your unit test, in your
test
CI/CD
container.
pipelines, but you can also install it, let's say, on your Kubernetes cluster.
Oh, so this is the same thing as the test container, but now we're interacting with durable
Exactly. And
consistent
so,
state. Okay.
yeah, we see users in the community having different, deployment topologies. So, for example, they may have always up and running instance that is really the source of truth for all the API in the organization, but they can also pop up ephemeral instances for doing isolated tested and so on.
So presumably you've already configured this instance somehow, but in the test container example, we just use the Java API
Exactly.
to configure what contracts it should mock for us. But here you can do it point and drag and drool. I can point and click and input things here manually.
Exactly.
In this marketplace of APIs, what is that? So
yes, so we got this hub. This hub is a marketplace when you can share your mock definition, when you can share your contracts, and typically you can choose to have this access to this public one. This is the public one where we provide also all the different samples, but you can also deploy a private instance within your organization. So if you have different teams that want to use Microcks, it's very easy to have this hub and to say that, let's say, the APIs that are promoted, that are rock solid, that can be promoted to the hub, and they can may be available to other developers.
Microcks solid.
Microcks solid, yeah, you get it.
So okay, this is super interesting. Okay, but so I use Spring. One you can imagine. I use GraphQL a lot. I have lots of GraphQL schema laying around. I would love to have a way to advertise that schema so that others in my team can then consume that.
Exactly.
Like, how do I just take the file that I created for schema.graphqls? Do I just import that here and now other people can mock
yes, exactly.
my services API?
So typically the hub is just connected on a Git repository. So you can put your GraphQL schema on the Git repository. The hub analyze this Git repository and can publish this nice UI where you can discover. And then just after that, your team can browse the hub and decide, yes, I want to import this GraphQL stuff into my Microcks instance.
Is that the Neo4j movie API?
And here I've got a movie graph API.
Yeah.
with all the different operations. So I can have all the films and so on. So this is the same stuff, exactly.
That's awesome. Oh, hello. Hello. Wow, that is so great. So okay. And now I can mock that as well. I can so
Already mocked.
yeah, it's already mocked. So I would in this case I wouldn't use a test container. I would just point it. I'd set that URL of that property to point to this
Exactly.
full URL. Is it do I just copy and paste what's there?
Yeah, or
Or-
you can just use
What do I
the Java API. Let's say you can just, for example, let's say you got a Microcks container and you say, give me a GraphQL endpoint. And
But what if you have more than one? So if you have a bunch of different GraphQL APIs, do they all get like flattened into one
okay.
GraphQL endpoint or what?
So you have to import this GraphQL API using the Java one, and then you can retrieve the GraphQL lock endpoints.
Right,
So-
but am I allowed to import more than one GraphQL
Yeah, sure.
schema?
You can daisy chain them.
So if I have like one GraphQL that has a top level type called customer and another one called customer, what happens?
Typically, if this is the same version of the same API, Microcks is merging the schema definitions. But if these schema are attached to different versions of the different APIs, it will create different endpoints for each version of your API.
So how does get GraphQL mock endpoint know what to give me then?
Yes, because it depends on the artifact you import previously. So here you can just, let's say, import a new file that is my GraphQL.
Oh, so there's state there. Okay, so the
Yeah.
first one informs the second
Schema.
one.
Yes, exactly. Let's say 0.1
I see.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
GraphQL, and here you can say just ask a mock endpoint for my GraphQL schema in version 0.1. And here you will have a mock endpoint ready to use.
And it
Simply put.
directly corresponds to what you just stood up.
Exactly.
Can I do on the next line on line 42? Could I import another one as a main artifact and then get that GraphQL endpoint?
Yeah, sure.
So I can just keep adding
Yeah.
things to this test container.
And
Exactly.
you can add multiple versions as well. So to test
Okay.
every version that you
Wow.
are sure that you are not introducing any breaking changes for you.
So I could get access to the mock URL endpoints for as many client services as I need. Oh,
Yes,
neat.
exactly.
Okay, that's super cool.
That's super good.
And this is, of course, a CNCF project. So the thing you're running, I imagine, is as easy as possible to get on Kubernetes.
Yes, exactly. So we got a M chart for Kubernetes. We also have an operator.
Yeah.
If you like operator stuff. So
Sure.
really easy to deploy in Kubernetes.
Oh, so the operator, what is that like? Does it auto scale or what is it? What's the trick it does?
Yeah, so basically the operator allows setting up the microservices. Also, if you want to use Microcks for asynchronous APIs, it relies also on Kafka. So
Oh,
typically the operator set up a Kafka cluster for you under the hood, configures everything, and also configures all the things related to ingress stuff if you want to have access to gRPC ingress and so on.
ah,
This is kind of complex most of the time. So we are, yes, hiding this complexity in the operator.
And we also have quite a lot of adopters who are, let's say, very strong on developing, everything on top of Kubernetes with a strong GitOps approach. And then they can have Microcks and use custom resources for Microcks and set up the way they would like.
wow.
That's highly scalable, but also very highly flexible.
So typically this is the deployment we've got on Kubernetes after the operator. And typically on a Kubernetes cluster, you want also to secure stuff. So you may use Keycloak for securing the access to Microcks instance, having some airbag rules also to prevent teammates for deleting your jobs and so on. Yeah, so
Okay.
this is very appropriated to a much complex deployment of
Right.
Microcks.
As is typical in large organizations with lots of
Exactly.
APIs that want to advertise and consume and so on.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Very, very, very cool.
And
This is all since it's just a Kubernetes, it would work very well in tons of application platform, the Kubernetes platform as well.
And
Uh,
Kubernetes flavors.
Yeah.
The one you like.
Neat. Okay.
yeah, And maybe we can also, yes, explain you the second use case
Yeah.
because we've just done the first part right here.
Being mindful that we have like a precious few minutes until lunch starts breaking out,
Okay.
and no amount of AI will keep all that noise away. So we have to go fast.
Okay, so we are going super fast. So the second part of the use case, now we have done the mocking of this part, but here we have also developed an API, and we want to be sure that we did not introduce any breaking changes on this API.
Right.
And so, for example, we have developed this order controller so that you can place new orders. And how we are going to test that? And we can do that using also test containers with Microcks. So this is my order controller contract test. Here again, I will start a new Microcks container. And you can see that I will feed it with two artifacts. The main artifact that is the schema, the Open API definition for the order service. And the other one that is the definition for the third party we rely on. So in fact, we are going to do an end-to-end test by mocking the third party and yes, calling the whole invocation chain. And what I'm going to do right here is just to have a Spring Boot test. So it starts the whole application. Okay. And here I can just call Microcks and ask Microcks to do a contract test using this API definition, using the test endpoint that is the one that is provided by my Spring Boot application. And I want to apply an Open API schema validation on the question and the response I received.
Right.
And you can see that's very easy. So I can also just ask Microcks to realize this test, get a test result, and then check that everything is okay. So if everything is okay, it just takes a few milliseconds. Everything is okay. But imagine, okay, I'm a lazy developer and I have forgotten to include, let's say, the total price of the order in the response. Okay, but I expect a total price. Okay, so I'm not conformant to the contract here. And you will see that here my test will see that the response of the API is not conformant to the contract, that possibly you may have introduced a change. We'll see here. Typically, I am missing a required property right here, the total price. It's a bit small, but yes, you can just play it around and you can see. So as a developer, I can easily fix it and be sure that now everything is okay.
Ah, okay.
So very convenient for doing contract testing, but in the inner loop, in shift left, you do not have to wait for the CI/CD. You do not have to wait, obviously, to be in production to realize that you have breaked everything and consumers can no longer invoke your API.
I love it. I love it. And I think there's this would be very cool. I imagine during development as well. We should talk about connection details in a minute, but this is really great. I really appreciate it. I hope people got what they wanted out of this conversation. I don't see a ton of questions. I think people are just very happy to learn about this thing. Let's give them a few minutes here to dump their questions before we're forced to. Like, there's going to be a deluge.
Yeah,
We're at Devox. Like I said, Devox is this amazing. We're Devox, Belgium. Although I don't know which one is larger now. I wonder which one is it, France or Belgium?
I think Belgium is still larger.
Okay.
Because, we have something like 1,040. 400 attendees in France, but I think Belgium is still larger.
Yeah. Either way, they're both amazing.
Yeah.
And just a couple hours by train at worst. Either way, there's no.
Cool. And just maybe regarding the latest news, as we were dealing about test containers, our official module is online since yesterday.
Yeah.
So we're very happy to promote it during this week as well. And that's brand new. And we are very, very happy about this new partnership with Atomic Jar.
Hey, great. That's amazing. Congrats. I love this. Well, good. So if people wanted to go learn more, I guess the answer's right there. Microcks.io. So MICROCKS.io. I'm gonna try to do a thing here. Rocks.io. Paste this. There you go.
So the link to the test container
Oh yeah. Put that in the chat. Oh,
And
Promote
join
that.
us on GitHub. Stars are appreciated. More than welcome.
where'd you put it? Did you paste it?
Well, pasted it here, but that's failed.
Oh no.
Maybe we are running late.
I don't think there's an upper bound. I think there's a lower bound. Okay,
Oh,
wait.
maybe.
So what's the so test containers that or what is it?
The stack module / Microcks. Modules.
Just search.
Don't worry, people. We got this. Oh, you have to spell. Did I do something? This is
Modules and Microcks. Yeah.
there we are. Voila. All right. Whoa, that's an ugly URL. Did you see what they just did to me? Ignore all that. That's horrific.
This one is better. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I'm
Yeah.
glad you got something. It was a great session. Really appreciate it. It'd be a
Yeah,
really
thanks a
cool
lot,
tool.
Josh.
Very quick and very easy and very obviously useful. So thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Josh.
It was a pleasure, my friend. Appreciate you.
Pleasure. Appreciate it. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everybody. Stick around. I'll be doing a lot more live streams this week.